Good Tuesday morning, good March to everyone. Is that a thing? It is now. Whatever. March is now turns out to be a pretty happening month. It started back in 1999, March the 1st, when my best friend committed suicide. If you have a loved one that's, you may suspect maybe having troubles, please do your best to be there for them. There was a whole series of events that happened that led us to being kind of estranged from Clayton. And to be honest, we shouldn't have. We should have had his back the entire time. But hindsight is 2020. And in 1999, a lot of us were just getting started in our careers. And we kind of put our old hometown behind us. And unfortunately, Clayton was stuck there. We tried to get him out a couple times, but he always ended up back there. I remember hearing the story of him working at a Big Bear up here in Columbus, I think it was, and he punched one of his fellow associates and was fired and then just moved back home. He also worked for oh boy, I don't know if I should tell this story. What's the statute of limitations on theft? He worked for a company that packaged stuff. I mean, like stuff that predated like Amazon warehouse packaging. It was like in the 1990s, like late 90s. That's how he got his CD collection, because everyone knew where the cameras were and they knew where the cameras weren't. And yes, there were many things that he pulled out of that warehouse that he shouldn't have. So if you're like, he sounds like a thief, yeah, probably was, but he was still our friend and we still laughed about it because it was hilarious. And today, it's still hilarious that he did that. But he moved back home, and then he got the bright idea that he was going to rob a bank. And I don't know what stoked that fire. I have assumptions in my brain, but he decided he was going to rob a bank and got caught and was going to go to jail. And that was it. So, moral of the story, don't rob a bank, I guess. And it's sad. I mean, I'm being flippant about it, but it is sad. And I do miss him. I miss him on a daily basis because he was just one of those friends that you loved being with because you knew something incredibly insane was going to come out of his mouth just because that's just the way his brain worked. He was just hilarious and goofy and a joy to be around. And like I said, hindsight is 2020, and I should have been a bit more supportive for him. And I wasn't because of what he was going through at the time. If you feel bad, feel like you need someone to talk to, call the suicide prevention hotline, call a friend, let them know how you're feeling. Don't be afraid. The worst thing they can do is reaffirm your fears, and then you move on to the next one. Move on to the next friend. You will find someone that is supportive. Move on to a stranger. You'll find a stranger that's supportive. I mean, we're all going through a lot right now, so make sure you take the time for yourself, regardless of your profession, because we've all been there, some more than others. And that's the sad part, really. We can move on to happy stuff because March also March 1st is also our wedding anniversary, and I believe it was 2016. That makes it 9 years, 9-ish years. 2016, yeah, 9 years. It'd be 9 years. We've been together for over 20. It's about 22 years now, but married for 9 years. So that's pretty special too. Even though we only really count the meeting point in 2003. God, that's bad, isn't it? I should remember these things. But mom and dad kind of celebrate the marriage thing, which is hilarious. So that's a big thing. And then also this month, started yesterday, the Kickstarter campaign for Riff Tracks started yesterday. And they've already gone to a wonderful start. They may get to their goal today, and then wonderfully beyond with stretch goals and whatnot coming soon, I'm sure. I'm super excited about this one. This one's Time Cop. It's Time Cop. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Blockbuster film back in the day, even though it's schlock, you know? I love the movie. I do. But yeah, so they're doing Time Cop. How fantastic is that? It'll be in theaters in August, but the taping is in June. And one of the reasons for that is that they've had some major issues with several different places that feed the Fathom Events stuff, where there have been delays and there have been entire segments cut off because of satellite problems, and there have been issues with feeds. Some places don't even get the first, I mean, there's an entire like half hour, 45 minutes of starting cards, you know, that are written by the writers, Sean and Connor and several other people that just write for these cards, and the cards that just show up when music is playing are just hilarious. I think this is paraphrased from Eric, the web guru, very good friend, said out loud, was that it's just easier to tape it and then get it to the theaters and then let the theaters play it like that. So, and then someone else asked why they don't do 3 or 4 shows anymore. And I mean, to be honest, there's a couple of reasons for that. There's the obligatory, they're getting older and it's a little bit harder to do that kind of stuff. Also, it's funny because I think they said that they found that certain times of the year, fewer people go to the theaters and buy tickets. I mean, the Belcourt always sells out, but that's just one theater. And sometimes they've relied on ticket sales to help balance certain things because it costs to get into a theater. It costs to have the production company come in and do the truck. It costs for the Belcourt to rent that out for a night. It costs the people that come in and design the sets, the beautiful sets that they have. So, I mean, there's just a lot, and staff, and then there's staff, the RiffTrax staff that come, they get paid to do that, which is amazing to me, because they probably do it. I'd probably do it for half the if they hired me. So there's just, you know, there's just a lot to pay for, and they found that there were certain times of the month or certain times of the year when they would handle those kind of things and put them out, the theater presence just wasn't there. And which is weird because you would think everybody would go every time. You know, if you're a RiffTrax fan, I don't know why your butt's not in the theater. So it's just, it was weird. So they decided to narrow it down to 1, perhaps 2, but I think for the past couple it's been 1, and a certain time of year in August, when people seem to be drawn to the theater more for a RiffTrax event. I don't know why people wouldn't go all 4 times. That breaks my brain a little bit. It's like, if you're a RiffTrax fan, you just should be going, you know? I don't know, it's weird. All right, so the RiffTrax thing is happening. I can talk more about that tomorrow when I don't want to feature something. I want to feature this. This is Crimson, which is a coffee place at Easton. I'm sure that they have a lot more places nationwide. I've only ever seen this one in Central Ohio. So this is the espresso, which I'm like, you know what? I've never really had an espresso coffee. And I know this thing can't do espresso, so we're going to do this. And we're going to do a way that was suggested, rokoustakis, that suggested using the fellow little filter here, but also putting paper over top of this. It shouldn't hurt the seal because it's going to be, you know, compressed, and there shouldn't be enough in between the paper and the rubber gasket to get through. And it may help with the channeling. He said, I don't know if it'll make it taste any better, but which is, you know, true, but, you know, it's still fun to find out. So I'm going to wet this. Ooh. Yeah, I think we'll be fine. And wet this, keep it in there, use it like that. And then we're going to take this Crimson Espresso, which has flavor profile of lime, vanilla pudding, and cocoa nibs, which should be interesting. I don't know how it's going to be. I'm going to turn this up to max. This is up to 0. This is maxed out, and it's not going to be espresso. I almost bought, I may still, I may still today just sit down and break down and just buy the espresso one. I looked up the Opus. There's an Opus that fellow do, and the reviews on it were weird, especially on Amazon. People were complaining about. I mean, I clean this thing out regularly. I don't know how often other people clean out their espresso machines, but they said that it liked to clog, which is weird. It's also, it's not quite a single dose, but I think it's close to a single dose. You can't fill up not that I've ever filled this hopper up. The majority of them were favorable reviews, but then you always look at the ones that are like, here's why I didn't like it. Because they may be special use cases and they may be the minority, but this is what could happen to you if you decide to buy this thing. So, I mean, it's neat. I don't know though if I want a one button does all, because the one button adjusts and then you press it and it goes for 30 seconds, or you long press it and it goes for 60 seconds. I like this because there's a switch on the side of it, and the Baritza ESP does the exact same thing, or the Encore ESP does the exact same thing. It's got a switch on the side, and then everything's stepped like this, which I don't mind the steps. I like being able to control that kind of thing, and it just going for 30 seconds, which is probably long enough, but, you know, so I think I might go for the ESP. But anyway, what's nice about this is that here at the bottom, there's a roasted on, which is February 21st, and they even give a Best Buy date, which is August 21st of 2025, which I would say is fair. So yeah, the bottom here has got roasted in February on the 21st. So, and you know, you let it breathe a little bit, and it's the best way to go. So let me get my skizzers. We'll snip the top. Apologies to Wolverine. And, ooh, there is kind of like a creamy pudding smell. Wow, let's take a look here. I want to look at the beans. We'll do about 17 grams. Now this is only a 10-ounce bag. Oh, there I went too far already. This is only a 10-ounce bag, which is fine, you know. It was $20 for a 10-ounce bag. This is specialty coffee, though, he said with his voice going up. It is specialty coffee. They have a lot of specialty coffee. I think they have a $90 specialty coffee in there that's like 10 ounces, and it's like, no, I don't think that's for me. At least not at this point. But yeah, 10 ounces, 284 grams. So it comes with this little card. Rotating regions, tasting notes. So it's Rwanda and Peru. It is a washed process, which means at the very beginning, once the fruit gets to where it needs to go, it doesn't sit out. It's immediately washed, cleaned, mucilage taken off, dried, roasted when it gets to where it needs to go. So they say 19 grams, grind level espresso, total water, 36 milliliters, method espresso. And then they've got a little bit of a story about something. Golden Bear Award winner. So this is a Golden Bear Award winner. And like I said, unfortunately, I don't have a way to grind it to espresso, so I will get it as close as I can and go from there. The bean's really pretty. It's a very small bean. Cool. All right, I washed this out. I cleaned it all out, so we should be getting the best. Well, I washed the top and the rubber gasket. I brushed everything else and knocked everything out that was there. It wasn't a whole heck of a lot, which is nice. All right, so we have our metal mesh in there. We also have a paper filter in there, so we're going to close that out. If something well, there might still be clogging in the center, but I think that there's enough space in between to where the coffee should just go right straight through. I mean, the paper filter was right directly on the gasket here, so anything being pulled was stopping. But there's should be space between the rubber gasket and the metal mesh that should continue to give us, you know, enough room to get the coffee to come through. So let's blitz this up. It'll take a minute. Though I don't generally go this fine with the Encore, it did a wonderful job. Ooh, what a beautiful smell. Interestingly enough. So this is espresso. We haven't lost any heat, which is good. I am going to put a little bit in the bottom of the cup here to kind of heat the cup up, so that we can kind of get a little less steam when we get to the bottom here and find out. I'm going to put the camera down and we're going to take a look at it. But yeah, look at that. It smells really nice. It's nice. It's very fine. I don't see too many large boulders. There are a couple, but as far as chaff goes, it's actually ground up really well. So that's great. I'm glad about that. Zero that out. So we will do, we'll put that in now so it can steep. We'll see almost immediately if anything happens to start coming out the bottom. But I think rokoustakis may be onto something. And like he said, it may not, I may not be able to get 300 in here, am I? No. All right, so we'll do 250. We'll do 260. 36 milliliters. So is that okay? So that's espresso. I'm thinking with an espresso machine here. This is for an espresso machine. We don't have that. Not yet. Someday, but not yet. It would be great. It would be fun. It'd be wonderful, but it's fine. So we're going to do about 260 grams of water. It's quite a bit of coffee. I've gotten really nice coffee out of this thing with about 250. So we'll let it go for another couple minutes here. So yeah, we went to Crimson. We got some really nice coffee. They've always got some wonderful flavors that they're playing with, seasonal stuff. They have a maple latte that looked and tasted really good. So I'm really happy with that. And we'll wait till the very end when we get close here. We'll go for about 3 minutes, give it a stir, go for another minute. Just like I say every time, and then I don't do it. There we go. So we'll figure it out. Anyway, let's see. What one of the 3 topics do I want to revisit here real quick? We'll just go back to the last one. RiffTrax Kickstarter. I've been very fortunate over the past 3 years to have been able to write a riff for, and especially today at this time, because I watched that write a riff option go in like the first 10 minutes. Write a riff was gone. It seemed to hold on for the past 3 years for a little bit, but no, people ate that right up, which is really great. For the past 3 years, I've been able to write a riff for RiffTrax. For the past 3 years, each of the 3 riffers have done one of my riffs. Bill did Return to Swamp Thing.
Wow, Zindy the Swamp Boy got swole. Oh yeah. Zindy!
Kevin did Rad.
Suddenly I don't just want ham, I need ham.
As do we all.
And then Mike last year did Point Break.
Yo, I heard about your dead parents. That's hot.
Really hot.
And there's no bigger thrill than having people you admire and enjoy read your work on stage, live on stage. It's absolutely amazing. Someday, hopefully the next step will be somebody will direct the book that I'm trying to write, and I've been trying to write since 2019. So, all right, no seepage, no spillage. I think we're onto something, Roku. I think you're onto something. But we're going to give it a try. Let's go for another 30 seconds. So that's happening right now. Goes through the end of March. And this year I was fortunate and privileged to grab a VIP slot. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to see the friends that I've been missing for a couple years. I was lucky enough when we went to the Minneapolis show to see a couple of the people at the theater event. Sean wasn't there because he was recovering from a surgery. But I saw Connor and I saw Bridget and Sarah and David, both Davids. David D. Martin and David I'm pretty sure he's the co-owner of Riff Tracks. So yeah, I got to see them and it was so cool to see them. And now we get to see them for about 2 hours instead of just briefly on the carpet at the theater. So I'm excited about that. I miss them very much because they are good people and I enjoy being around them. So, all right, so we're going to start plunging our espresso through our Aeropress and let's see if I can. It could be too hard. To be honest, I was kind of hoping for some crema. I don't know, for some reason I'm not really good at producing that. But I will say, pushing down, very easy. I don't feel like there was any channeling happening. There was definitely nothing sticking. So I'll tell you what, Roku, you were on the money here. I would love to see. Here we go. Oh boy, hey, you want to know what this is? This is hot. All right, let's see, kind of see. It looks like, really, the whole thing was very, put it up here on this real quick. There's no channeling. There was no direct line into the, into the point here, the gasket. It was incredibly even, all the way around, all the way down, as you can kind of see here. So that's great. This is a great way of doing it. So that's cool. And again, I'm not able to at this point. I'm sorry. I know. Why are you putting it down the drain? Because. Anyway, so that's perfect. Well done. Yeah, I'm very happy about that. It's about what you would want, I think. Sometimes this dealio likes to get itself. There we go. It's really weird how it suctions itself and releases. You can kind of see a lip right here where this kind of fits in, but there's still enough space in between to allow for coverage like that. So there was no just one central trying to push itself out. It was very, very controlled, it felt like, and it was very easy to push down. So that's pretty cool. Now, let's... And again, not espresso. Oh, it is espresso, but it's certainly not, made in an espresso way. This is an Aeropress, so. Okay. Oh, it's very interesting. Ooh, there's like a salty tang to it. It's like I get a little bit of sourness that can be lime. It's not unpleasant, it's just there. Vanilla pudding? Cocoa nibs definitely. Cocoa nibs can be are bitter, so there's just a little bit of a nice kind of a cocoa-y kind of bitterness to it. Vanilla pudding might come from the putting it through an espresso machine. I will say though, this is actually delicious. I mean, if don't be afraid to put espresso through, you know, a Chemex. You know, grind it down as fine as you want, and then put it through a Chemex. I mean, it's you know, it's coffee. You know, I know it's made for espresso. It's roasted for espresso, but you know, you still get some really good stuff out of it. Like I said, there's almost kind of there's a little bit of a salt taste to it. And I can get the lime. Cocoa nibs are kind of like an easy layup shot, really, because chocolate and coffee are very, you know, they have similar profiles. Vanilla pudding, I don't know. Maybe? I don't know. I'd have to think about it really hard. But this is good. I can't wait to use this. Tomorrow we'll use this in the Chemex. I'll admit something, though. I used the Primso on Thursday because I wanted to see what it did to the numbers. Monday and Tuesday I did not use the Primso, and I did not put it anywhere in any of the language. There's a space down below where you upload everything that lets you put in keywords that people might search for. And usually I put like morning coffee and coffee therapy, and I'll put Chemex. If I use a Chemex, I'll use the coffee type. But in the first two of that week, I didn't put Fellow or Primso in it. I put Fellow and Primso separately in the Thursday one, and it blew up again. Well, it blew up in you know, for my intent and purposes. You know, 200 and some odd people watched it. So it's like, or at least began to watch it, and then it's like, what the fuck is this? And then turned it off. But it was just very interesting because the week prior, I did that because I used, you know, the Primso, the Fellow, and the Aeropress, and I got pretty good numbers for me, you know. So YouTube, there's even says this. Some people don't use this, and I think that kind of helps to show that, you know, people do use those keywords in searches to try to find stuff that they're looking for. So hopefully the Fellow stuff that I did then and today were helpful. But I know I waffle a lot. But you know, that's the point. The point is my mental health, and though it has improved greatly over the past 2 years, it's still there. I still have mental health, you know, that needs to be talked about or brought. I mean, especially when it comes to this time of year, because my best friend, you know, did the unthinkable, you know, and I feel really terrible about that. I got to see the devastation laid on his sister and his parents, and on his friends, including me, you know, devastated, horrible. So, you know, it's awful. It's an awful thing. It's an awful place to be. And I hope that somehow, some way you can find a way, get to a place to help you come back and be a part of your friends and family's lives. Thank you for watching today. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful week, but we will talk to you tomorrow. See you later. Bye.